really easy to get your music out there and promote yourself and start to build like a fan base or stir up interest and get a buzz created, you know, about you and your band or your music or whatever the project is. Um, it's just, it's also never been harder to make money because, you know, once you get your music out there, somebody will upload it and give it away for free.
Or sample it, or
Yeah, so, and the sampling thing, they've kind of gotten that whole thing hashed out. I mean, people get paid for their samples now and stuff, but not so much in the beginning of that. Again, this whole, the way the music business is right now is also the same reason that the film industry is hurting. And television and now even newspapers are starting to become kind of extinct.
so any form of
Everybody thought the internet would just come and go and
The
be
trend.
another fad, you know, like you
Pet
know,
rock.
Pet Rock, you know, Atari 2600, PlayStation 1. You know, these things, they come and they go and they constantly evolve. Some fall by the wayside, never to be heard from again. They literally thought that the internet would be like that it was just going to eventually one day just go away and dry up.
And here we are.
Yep.
Question 2. Where do you think the music industry will be in 10 years from now?
Well, I definitely feel that a lot of artists will be,
Digitally?
well, a lot of it will be like, but of course, you know, there's always that nostalgic, you know, people want like a hard copy of something to have and to hold or whatever. You know, it's going to be, you know, a lot of digital downloads and stuff like that. I don't even think like we'll be talking about in 10 years MP3, MP4 so much. And you won't really even see like a lot of like music only playing devices like MP3 players and iPods and what have you. I think with cell phones, and it's already this way to an extent, but I think eventually you will have the ability and the storage capacity on your cell phone to have your entire music library. You know, it'll all be like on your cell phone, and you'll be able to access your information from like any other computer anywhere, whether it's a public library or some kiosk at the mall. So like even like your bank information stuff, you will have like some type of device that is your phone, your music, your movies, your all-inclusive little
Your
palm
life
pad
on-
on some type of like gizmo. And I think most of the artists will be either self-distributed or they'll be in some type of 50-50 partnership
With a company?
with a company. It already happens. Target, Walmart already negotiate like exclusive only, where like the only place you can buy a certain artist's new CD is at Walmart. AC/DC did the Walmart thing. Aerosmith did the Walmart thing. Kiss did the Walmart thing. Ozzy did the Walmart thing. Prince did an exclusive deal with Target. And his was really cool. His first one he did with Target, if you bought his album at Target, you got a code for like a free download of some other artist, this female that he's producing, and he really feels strongly about her. So if you buy his album, you get her album, you can download it for free, and he still pays her for it.
That's nice.
You know.
So you feel the same 20 years from now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There may be fewer record companies, but somewhere somebody will still be dumb enough to sign a contract because they've been brainwashed into thinking that that's the only way it can be done.
Okay. Have you ever downloaded music before? If so, do you prefer this means of acquiring music to be more efficient than others?
Yes. It is way easier now to like sit propped up in my studio in my home, in my pajamas with my coffee, and not have to go drive countless circles waiting for the perfect parking spot, etc., etc. Certain artists and certain releases, I will still
Go get
pre-order or go hunt down the physical, you know, get online, order it. just certain things that I know are going to be worth owning, you know, and the rest of it, I'm perfectly content to just shuttle it all to a file on my desktop or my iPod or whatever.
Okay. Question 4. Do you think the government or other agencies should crack down on illegal downloaders?
It would be great if they'd have done it in the beginning and protected the industry. Oddly enough, you know, the whole thing is like, you know, with like the Chinese and them being somewhat infamous for making like a knockoff of any and everything. When it comes to art, specifically movies and music, they have a zero tolerance for pirating. And if you're caught like pirating in China, like someone's music or a movie, you can wind up like either like put to death or life in prison, or at the very least like whipped with a cane publicly. And they televise, like they have, like you can Google and find footage where they have these massive mountains of like confiscated illegal albums and books and cassettes and DVDs, and they like crush them with steamrollers, set them on fire, melt it all down to just plastic goo. You know, yeah, and very strange seeing how, you know, like so much of what they do is find a way to make something someone else created cheaper. Yeah.
Okay. Question 5. For people who have downloaded illegal music, do you think they should pay back monetarily for what they have stolen?
No. You know, as much as I want to say, hey, you know, you took money out of somebody's pocket, which you did, and there's always a pro and con. I kind of do buy in a little bit to the fact that you're getting some more exposure. You know, the old cliche, there's no such thing as bad press. And that is the general consensus that in the industry, like the new cliche, and we talked about this yesterday, and we'll talk about it again later in the questions. One of the best ways to get out there and become known and make it, quote unquote, and be successful in industry, especially in the beginning, is give your best stuff away for free.
Alright. Question 6. Moving right along. Being a musician and recording artist, how has internet downloading affected you and your sales?
It's cost me book sales, like when I Google myself once a month just to kind of like see, and you get like disgusted when you find like just like one piece of like whatever you created, a book or an album or whatever. You know, you wind up like, you know, scrolling through 18 pages of sites that have you available for free as a free e-download or a BitTorrent or whatever, file share, you know, that kind of stuff. At the same time, last year when it was like really like at its worst,
You got your best.
I got my best royalty checks. I got my biggest checks ever.
Coincidence?
You know, I don't know. You know, I weigh that. You know, when I Google myself and I see it pop up that on the Marshall AMP forum, some guy was like, hey, I found a BitTorrent download for this IntelliShred book. Can someone email me the MP3s off the CD? Because the guy I downloaded it from had not like ripped the CD. You know, and I was very, very close to like going to the Marshall forum, even though I don't play Marshall amps, and like creating a username and an account and then jumping in there and going, hey, you know, who the, you know, HE double hockey sticks are you? You know, you downloaded my creation illegally. You know, I want my 3.5%, you know, that you owe me. Or 7.5% if you'd have bought it here in the States. But yeah. So like in the grand scheme, like the one guy that illegally downloaded he cost me about $1.47, which doesn't sound like a lot,
But adds up.
but it adds up over, I mean, the course of like, I mean, I find it like in Russia and in South America, and when they shut them down here, they just move everything to a server someplace that doesn't recognize U.S. copyright. You can't stop it. You can't stop the internet.
Has anyone ever illegally downloaded from you? If so, what can you do to stop it? That you actually just
Yeah,
answer both of those
it's the same
questions.
thing, but at the same time, you have to understand, like we discussed earlier this week, there's certain artists and certain companies that on purpose accidentally leak out something or give it to somebody and say leak this out to create a buzz or a stir. It's like, with everybody getting sued by RIA for illegally downloading music, now the big thing is like illegally streaming pay-per-views. And so the funny thing is like with the UFC, most popular sport on the planet right now, fastest growing. I think like the only thing like the UFC is competing with right now really is like the NFL. So like you see all these cases if you're into that stuff, which I am, where like so and so got sued for illegally watching a pay-per-view online and they didn't watch it. And they've got all these things like JustinTV.tv, and you can go in these illegal chat rooms, and it's everything from like a full pro like actual like pay-per-view to some guy set his webcam up in front of his TV and he's streaming it through a chat room. Well, the funny thing is like the last 2 years have been suing the crap out of everybody. Now it gets out that there are certain shows and certain programming that the UFC was paying people to leak and stream illegally because it was creating a buzz, creating a stir.
Yeah, it was getting publicity.
Yeah. So it's no worse than like when the Beatles played the famous rooftop show. They knew they were going to get busted. They knew they were going to get arrested when you watched into that film and the cops are escorting them down off the rooftop. I mean, yeah, the cops said, U2 did the copycat version of that, And yeah, I mean, and anytime you do something like that, you know you're going to get arrested, but it's like, you know what, you're going to get a slap on the wrist, you're going to get a fine or some community service, and then you're going to get even more press because now you're like serving up like food to the homeless in the soup line working off your time because the man had, I mean, the whole like rock star thing and cribs, and it's all really quite contrived and made up, and it's fictional. Yeah, those aren't their houses, those aren't their cars. They may be living there, and that's where their mail gets delivered every day because their management or their lawyer or their record company owns that property or leases that. Same as that's the big scam with signing a record contract. They go, okay, McCauley will give you $1.3 million to record this album, and here's the studio we've already booked for you and everything. Well, they own a chunk of the studio, or they have a kickback deal worked with the producer. So the money actually goes to the producer, and then he breaks off the engineer a little piece, and the A&R guy who discovered you, who's now responsible for like being your goat roper, he gets a little piece, and then the rest they give to the studio, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and everybody's happy, and they're going to make you pay that money back to the record company as a recoupable loss plus interest.
Sad. What would you change about downloading illegal piracy?
In a perfect world with like rainbows and chocolate-covered gumdrops falling from the sky and unicorns and all that kind of stuff, I guess I would just make sure that like, artists got duly compensated for their life. That's the thing is like, I see this all the time just in what I do, and I'm relatively in the bottom of the middle someplace. I'm real big with the internet guitar nerds. Just that people got compensated for what they did, and that people in the real world like understood that this is just as much a quote unquote real job. If, you know, we talked about this earlier in the week again. You know, my day starts at 6 a.m. and my day ends at 1 or 2 a.m. And so when I get up, I'm at work. You know, I've got to check missed messages from somebody somewhere in the world in the middle of the night. Make my coffee. You know, delete the 256 emails I deleted this morning of just crackpots and people wasting my time or whatever. Then answer like the ones that are actual like business, and then like go check on all the guitar forums that I'm a member of out there to make sure that I'm staying fresh and in these people's minds, because the moment you take a break, you know, they forget about you.
Your relevance is...
Yeah. And then you've got to like rebuild all that back up again. So there's a lot of self-promotion, a lot of PR. But at the same time, you know, I could have done something different, you know. I like supporting my family. I like making money. Sometimes, unfortunately, to my own detriment, the money isn't what it was all about. It was more about like expressing myself. And like just in teaching, you know, I could make more money if I like babysat the students and just kind of like sugar-footed them along, you know, and just kind of spoon-fed them only what they wanted to know, versus like actually teaching them how to like play and think for themselves and how to learn, so they don't need to be with me, you know, 15, 20 years, you know. It's ridiculous, you know. Once you learn how to learn, a lot of doors open up for you. It's just, you know, you've got to have the stomach or the backbone to like be brutally honest with yourself. Same thing when you're writing a song, you know, is this good or is this crap or is this,
I've
you know,
been there.
yeah, you know when you're phoning it in.
Yeah.
You know.
Let's see. Did I ask question 9? Would you have preferred if downloading had not occurred?
You wouldn't have been able to stop it anyway.
Well, I guess question 10 and last question. What are your final comments on the subject of illegal downloading and piracy?
I would hope that if somebody downloads a song that they snatched from someplace and they really, really like it, you know, go back and go to Amazon, go to iTunes, go to CD Now or CD Baby, go someplace, FYE, Barnes and Nobles, Books A Million, wherever you like to buy your...
And go get it.
Yeah, and support the artist, you know. I mean, it used to be that like you hope to break even on the CD or the album or whatever you know it is that you're selling, and that if you broke even on that, then when you toured, that was money that went in your pocket. You know, anytime you can, deal with the artist directly. If you need to buy a CD, maybe it's $2 cheaper, $3 cheaper on Amazon. But if you can go to the band's website or the artist's website and you can buy it directly off their website, I guarantee you 100% of the money from that goes right into their pocket, as opposed to them getting like, you know, 11% or 7.5%. I know, like when people buy my books and CDs from me, I buy those books at a discounted rate from the publishers. So just like I was Walmart or Sam's or, you know, FYE or whoever, and they box them up and they send them to me, they send me an invoice, I have to buy the books. Now I can sell them, you know. So like, yeah, like Amazon's going to sell the book for like $11.26, sometimes $14.95. List on the book's $19.95. You know, but sometimes, you know, people will be nice enough and they'll buy it from me because they want it signed to somebody or they want it signed to themselves. And I'll put whatever you want in the book. Like somebody bought it from me, a bass player bought it for his lead guitar player, and like wanted it signed like, hey Rob, here's an instructional book for me. The guys in the band tell me you could really use this. You know, yeah. That kind of thing, you know, or I'll sign it to somebody for their birthday or Christmas or whatever. Or like this one guy, He just simply wanted an autographed picture. And I did not have an autographed picture at the time. I didn't have any more promotional stuff, and you really lose money on that stuff. You wind up giving more of it away than you sell. So I found out that there was actually like 5 or 6 of my songs that I had thrown out there on MySpace and in cyber nowhere that you could download for free, and he was actually giving my stuff airplay on his satellite radio station. So, I mean, he thought enough to like play my music and like it, and he took the time to write me. You know, I can eat the whatever the book actually cost me and the postage and like sign it and send that, because that guy did buy something and that guy did do something and that guy turned, and people are hearing me, and that guy's turning other people on, and one of those people will buy something too. So he did help me move the ball a little further. He helped the cause. So yeah, so I'll send him the autograph book and not charge him for it and that kind of stuff. But anytime you can buy anything and deal directly with the artist, even if it's a T-shirt, because these days with these co-partnerships, the way they're doing these record deals, even if you buy the T-shirt, say at the concert, whatever the profit margin is on that shirt these days, there's still a strong chance that the record company even is getting a cut of that now before the artist.
They've cut into the merchandise.
They've cut into everything. That's what the 360 deal is. We're going to co-shoulder the responsibility of having all the merchandise made and all the promotion and all of the recording. So you're going to split the cost 50-50 of making an album that it really doesn't cost them a dime to make anyway. And I love it when like record companies like drop artists and they go, well, we were losing money on them, or we didn't feel the need to like let them make a 4th album because we didn't see a point blank since the beginning of like recorded music. No company has ever lost money on an artist. Ever. No matter how horrific the recorded artist catalog is, no company, it's that slanted in their favor and always has been, no matter what. No record company has ever lost a dime. But a lot of people have lost, like, you know, their homes and their art that they created, and it's cost them their marriages and being able to give their kids an education and stuff like that. So support the artist, and anytime you can, buy direct